guys, welcome back to Pro Gun. If you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate that. Lately, I've had a lot of viewers ask me, is appendix carry dangerous and what's the benefit? So I'm going to go over the pros and cons, but a lot of the cons of the appendix carry come from people who don't do it. So the first myth, a lot of people say, well, if you appendix carry, you're going to blow your nuts off. Well, first of all, appendix carry does not pose any further risk to negligent discharge than any other carry method, okay? If you have a good gun belt and a good holster that covers the entire trigger guard, the gun is not going to go off. Guns don't just fire by themselves. This isn't the Alec Baldwin School of Firearm Safety. So to put an end to that nonsense, it is absolutely perfectly safe to appendix carry as long as you have proper trigger discipline and a good holster and a good gun belt. Negligent discharge can happen no matter where you're carrying if you're careless. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. One of the biggest benefits is concealability. Appendix carry conceals a firearm better than any other method because you wear it in the front between, if you're left-handed, I wear mine at 11 o'clock. If you're right-handed, you'll wear it at 1 o'clock. But I like that you can move it and still have easy access to it. It also keeps the firearm closer to your body. And it's a lot easier to draw. Matter of fact, drawing is much faster with appendix carry because your arm's natural design is to bend at the elbow, right? So whether you're eating or drinking or cutting your food, right? When you draw appendix, that's the way your arm moves. Carrying it on your hip, this is not a natural arm movement. One of the drawbacks to appendix carry is that it does require the use of two hands, one to pull up the garment and one to take it out. And I'm going to show you that in a minute, but I want to put an end to another myth. Another myth is that, well, it's not good for large guns and it's not good for fat people. Well, I'm a fat guy and I've been appendix carrying for about 6 months now. I find it the most comfortable way to carry. My hips get sore carrying a large firearm on my hip. I don't feel anything when I appendix carry. And as far as not being able to conceal a large firearm, remember, two hands, one to lift the garment, one to draw the firearm. I appendix carry a full-size 1911 with a 5-inch barrel, and it is extremely comfortable. It does take time to get used to, and it feels a little awkward at first, but you have to give it time. But if you carry properly and you wear a size larger pants, which you should do anyway, you have a good gun belt, you have a good holster, it'll work out fairly well. There's a lot of people that say it didn't work out for them because they're fat or their gun was too big. That's not the reason why. It's because they weren't doing it properly. One of the major benefits of appendix carry also is that it's a lot easier to control your firearm and keep it on your person. And it's a lot harder for somebody in a struggle to take your gun away that's in front of you than on the side. If you're walking down the street and you're carrying a firearm on the side, somebody may see it and try to take it from you. If you're standing on line at a convenience store, at a cash register, if the person behind you can see it printing through your clothes, it's a lot easier for them to come up behind and take it than it is for somebody to take it from the front of your person, because the natural way you stand, especially when talking to people, are your hands are in front of you. You spend more time with your hands in front of you than you do with your hands at your side. And if you spot trouble, all you have to do is put your hands down like this. Another thing is, being it does conceal so well, I notice if I'm online at the cashier paying for something and I'm wearing a firearm on my hip and I go to get my wallet and I lift up my shirt to get to my wallet, they could see my firearm. But if you have it an appendix carry and you lift it up on the side, they're not going to see it in the front. Another great advantage of appendix carry is it works out really well when you're in confined quarters. Take your car, for example, okay? Now, I just showed you I carry a full-size 1911 appendix carry, and I carry all day. I work from home. I sit at my desk all day. What you have to tend to do is just sit back slightly. You don't have to, make a big deal about it, but it's not going to work for you if you're bending over like this. So I guess it depends on the activities you're going to be doing that day. If you're going to be doing a lot of forward bending, it's not going to work well. But in confined spaces like your car, now I'm left-handed. There's a lot more space between a holster on my left hip and the door being left-handed. But look at it from a right-handed person. If you have your firearm on your right hip and you're driving your car and you have your console here, can you really stick your hand in there between the console and your holster and pull out your firearm? But when it's in front of you and you lean slightly back, the steering wheel gives you at least a foot. You have plenty of room. The only thing I can tell you is if you haven't tried it, try it. You may be pleasantly surprised. I mean, I find, especially being a fat guy, that it works really well for me. But there's some things that you need to take into consideration, okay? Most accidental discharges happen from holstering a weapon. So you have two choices. You can holster your weapon first and put it inside the waistband, which is what I do. Or if you're going to put it inside the waistband, take your time, and if you have to, look. Okay? But I mean, look at the way this conceals full-size 1911. And that's just crazy. And I could sit down, I could drive, I could work at my desk, I could do anything I want to do. So it's one of the more popular and controversial ways of carrying. But honestly, if you're worried about blowing your junk off, you probably shouldn't be carrying a firearm. That basically tells me that you have no trigger discipline. Trigger discipline, a good holster covering the entire trigger guard, you'll be perfectly safe. If you haven't done it, give it a try. But you have to be patient. It takes a little bit of time. It may take you a few days or a week to get used to it. But you'll find that the firearm conceals much better. You can draw much quicker. And it keeps the firearm closer to your body, and it makes it harder for other people to take from you. There's a lot of benefits to it. Like I said, my only drawback is that to do it properly, it does take two hands. One to lift up your garment, the other one to draw the firearm. If you're involved in a altercation or a fight or a struggle, and you have that second hand that you're fighting with, it may not be that easy to do this all in one shot. That, as far as I'm concerned, is the only drawback. So I hope this answered your question, and if you haven't thought about it, maybe you will. And as always, I'd really like to know your thoughts and opinions on this. Thanks for watching.